Did you miss me? I've missed coming live. Like, I've missed it. Let's see, someone will join me live. And let me share this so people can tune in. So yeah, I'm here to discuss a very important topic. You know, if you are living with diabetes or insulin resistance, it's very important that you pay attention to the food you eat, the things you prepare your meals with, and of course, how you process these meals. So these are very key things to look at if you're someone living with insulin resistance or diabetes. The thing about insulin resistance, and I try to use familiar words when talking about insulin resistance, because many people living with insulin resistance don't even know they have it. If you are diabetic, of course, you must have heard your doctor tell you that you are insulin resistant and that your diabetes is due to insulin resistance, not really due to sugar. And it's funny that the therapeutic approach given to managing diabetes treats the symptom instead of the root cause. What causes diabetes in the first place is insulin resistance, but in modern medicine, which is just the symptom of insulin resistance, which is just the symptom of diabetes rather. Okay, diabetes got the name diabetes because diabetes mellitus, because of how sweet urine of diabetics taste. I can't see anyone online. It seems I'm going to pause this live and probably come back in an hour time. I know that from my analytics, my audience are mostly online from 1. But I just thought to share this very important information with you guys. And oh, someone has tuned in. Thank you for stopping by. Where are you watching me from? I would love to know where you're watching from. I missed out the intro like I usually do. Forgive me. I am Amara, and I call myself the mom scientist. That's who I am. I'm a mom and a scientist. I'm actively parenting and actively researching. So I call myself the mom scientist because that's who I am. And my research focus is metabolic health. And in here, all I share are practical tips gleaned from both field research and literature reviews on how you can reverse diabetes and insulin resistance naturally. And there are triggers. There are things that can worsen your symptoms with diabetes. The preservatives, the chemicals contained in Maggi can actually trigger or worsen your symptoms, because these chemicals worsen inflammation rather. These chemicals worsen inflammation, and of course, you know that inflammation worsens your symptoms with diabetes, because some of the things you experience living with diabetes are due to inflammation. Insulin causes the release of more free radicals, and again, these free radicals causes inflammation. And another thing is that insulin kind of causes glycation on the vessels, and this glycation can lead to so many arterial diseases like cardiovascular disease and the rest of them. So it's very important that you are strict with the things you prepare your food with, the things you eat, and how you go about processing the foods you eat. So Maggi is not the only thing that can make your food sweet. There are so many natural sweeteners that can help you sweeten your food. For months to years now, I've prepared meals in my family without Maggi. Each time I tell people that I don't use Maggi to cook, they usually wonder. I have Maggi in my kitchen actually, but I don't use it except when we have a guest, because at times when you prepare these foods, they don't come as, sometimes they're even tastier than the one you prepare with Maggi. But there are foods that when you prepare, please, I would like to know where you're watching me from. There are food that when you prepare without Maggi, they don't taste as great as when you prepare them with Maggi. So the Maggi I have in my house is for guests. When we have certain guests, I can just put very little Maggi in the food I serve them, because I don't have time to explain myself out or start out educating people on why I don't use Maggi, or why my food is not tasting as great as they would have loved it to taste. So I use that to, save myself some stress. But for years now, I don't season my meat with Maggi. I don't season my chicken with Maggi. I don't prepare food with Maggi, because we have many natural sweeteners. And I'm going to tell you all of them one after the other. I only propose to mention five here. And I immediately I began this life, more ideas started coming in on the different food sweeteners, natural food sweeteners that you can use to prepare your meal. Now, one of these sweeteners is onions. Onions is so I put lots of onions in my meal. I don't use Maggi. For people that just tuned in, I don't use Maggi for months to years now. I don't use Maggi in my house to prepare food. I use natural food sweeteners to prepare. There are food that will not need you to put lots of onions in it. Like if you're preparing something like onugbu soup, you won't need to put onions. Okay, I'll tell you what I use for onugbu soup. This idea of staying away from these things that generate free radicals came, I think that was in 2011, after sitting under the teaching of a professor of oncology. So that was when my interest in metabolic health started growing. And since then, I've been silently researching metabolic health since 2011, until I did my postgraduate studies I started my postgraduate studies in 2017. That was when I delved deep into metabolic health research. So that very talk show exposed my mind to a lot of things, that we feed our body with free radicals that end up damaging our mitochondria and making us insulin resistant. And when people start experiencing certain issues, they begin to wonder where these things are coming from, without knowing that it's the things they ingest into their system that is making them experience the health issue they are currently experiencing. People living with erectile dysfunction, very many of them don't know that the erectile dysfunction could be due to insulin resistance. Even women living with PCOS, myself, I'm a PCOS warrior. I lived with PCOS for like 13 years before getting a proper diagnosis on PCOS. And when I eventually found that I had PCOS, I didn't know PCOS had anything to do with insulin resistance. I didn't know that women with PCOS have insulin resistance until I did a test that shocked me. I did that test. That was in, when did I start this my conclusion? I did that test in 2021. I was shocked, because before I did that test, I never had a fasting blood sugar level of more than 80. My fasting blood sugar level has been from 70 to 80. I've never had anything more than 80. So when I did this test and I saw that I was insulin resistant, man, I was shocked to my marrows. And that was when I started modifying a lot of things, my diet, my lifestyle, and just doing that did something very miraculous in my system. Prior to that, prior to discovering that I had insulin resistance, before I take in, I used to strip my diet of sugar, because when I learned I had PCOS. Please, I would like to know where you're watching from. When I learned I have PCOS, I started conceiving with assistance. I started taking in with medical assistance. So after my first, I relied on drugs to take in of my first, drugs and ovarian drilling. That was what helped me to take in the first time I took in. So after that, when I was ready to take in a second time, that was when I started modifying my diet and I took in. It was like magic. Then the third time, I stripped my diet of processed foods and voila, I took in again and I was like, oh, so despite having PCOS, I can take in when I strip my diet of certain foods, and that was a big revelation to me, and I went on to do it like that. Anytime I'm ready to take in, I'll strip my diet of certain foods and then voila, I'll take in. So I landed here, something brought me to this point, and it's not going, I don't know, but I'm still going to share the reason why I'm here. I just needed to add context to this subject so you can actually understand why I am on this mission to help you optimize your metabolic health and enjoy health. Okay, so the number one food is onions. Onions is packed with antioxidants. Just put lots of onions in your food. Yes, you cannot use onions to prepare something like onugbu soup, ora soup, what have you. There are foods you can't use onions to prepare. For this kind of food, I will tell you the alternative food sweetener you can use to prepare them, your onugbu and the rest of them. Then the second one that people ignore a lot, I have not used Maggi in my house for years. I just feel like shouting it because people think it's impossible to cook without Maggi. People think it's so impossible to prepare food without Maggi. I don't know why. People think it's so impossible to prepare foods without Maggi. It is not impossible, it's doable. You can prepare your meals without putting Maggi in it. I've done it. I have been doing it. So it's doable. It is doable. Okay? So the second is tomatoes. Tomatoes is the second natural food sweetener that I use instead of putting plenty Maggi. I even had some people put sugar in their yam to make it sweeter. Huh? You already have a lot of things that contains sugar in them, that you are eating carbohydrate that is going to get broken down to sugar, and you're still adding sugar to to your yam that will eventually get broken down to sugar. You're adding more sugar to it. So tomatoes is the second thing that can help sweeten your food. It has, and the good thing about tomatoes is that it contains a very good antioxidant lycopene. And if you're a man, you need to be taking tomatoes on a daily basis. If you want to boost your prostate health, you need to be taking tomatoes on a daily basis, because that lycopene it helps to improve prostate health. Lycopene contained in tomatoes helps to improve prostate health. And the thing about tomatoes is that there is a way to go about preparing it so you can maximize the potentials in tomatoes. Eating tomatoes raw will not give you the full benefit of tomatoes. You need to blend your tomatoes and cook it with very small oil to get the full benefit, because the lycopene contained in tomatoes is fat soluble. What does that mean? What it means is that it dissolves only in fat. It does not dissolve in water. Lycopene dissolves solely in fat. Okay, so you need oil. Oil will help your body to extract the lycopene present in tomatoes very well. So tomatoes is another good one that you can use to sweeten your food naturally. Then the third one is ogiri. I don't know the English name. Ogiri, what they used to prepare ogiri. There are ones they use this thing to prepare, melon to prepare. There are ones they use melon to prepare, and there are ones they use oil beans to prepare. So ogiri is very good, whether you are using the ogiri, we call it ogiri aoko, the one they wrap in paper, or you are using the ogiri that is molded. The molded ogiri is very good, and it contains very rich nutrients that can help your body fight radicals. And the good thing about ogiri, the one that they prepare with oil beans, is that it contains healthy fat and protein. So it's very healthy, and aside being healthy, it can make your food more delicious without you adding maggi. I prepared onugbu soup just that was during the weekend. I did not put a single maggi. I did not slip in a single maggi in my onugbu soup. All I did was I added plenty ogiri in the soup and dry fish, and it came out just fine. So you don't need to add lots of these chemicals in your food, chemicals that end up damaging your health in the long run. Then another thing is crayfish. Crayfish, aside being rich in protein, it helps to sweeten food. So you need to just add a reasonable amount of crayfish in your food to make it more delicious. You just need to add a reasonable amount of crayfish in your food to make it sweeter. Then the last one, the last but not the least, is dry fish. Have you ever prepared soup with dry fish? Ha, my God, my goodness, my goodness. Go and try it. If you've ever prepared tomato sauce with dry fish, you will know what I'm telling you. The taste is like out of this world. The taste is it tastes so great. Dry fish in tomato sauce, it tastes so great. So you don't have to prepare your food with all these artificial sweeteners, maggi, and the rest of them. Just go for natural ones. There are other natural sweeteners out there. There are other natural, but these are the ones I've tested and tried. Okay, these five that I just mentioned are the ones I've tested and tried. There are other ones like garlic, ginger, turmeric. All of them help to sweeten the food. Curry and chow. But these five I mentioned are the ones I've tested and tried. So if you're just joining in, go and try preparing your food without maggi and adding plenty of onions in it. If it's food that requires you put tomatoes, put plenty of tomatoes in it. You can as well add lots of crayfish, add dry fish for food that requires you use dry fish. Do you know that you can something as something like unripe plantain porridge? Do you know you can actually use ogirope to prepare it? I don't know the English name for ogirope, but I know is prepared with oil this thing. Oil bean is what's used to prepare it. And for ogilaoko, I don't also know the English name. You use melon to prepare ogiri, or you ferment melon and use it to prepare it. These things taste so great in soup and even in normal meals. I've prepared unripe plantain porridge with the ogiri and even ogirope, and they taste great. I added tomatoes in my unripe plantain. The day I learned this recipe and tried it in my home, I felt like someone that won a lottery, that someone that won a visa lottery. I felt like that because I've never come across such recipe before. I didn't know I can prepare my unripe plantain porridge with tomatoes, let alone prepare it with ogiri or ogirope. So the day I learned that recipe, I tried it immediately and it came out so delicious. So you can prepare your meals with these natural sweeteners instead of going for maggi that can end up messing up your system and predisposing you to diabetes, or even worsening your diabetes, or worsening your insulin resistance, as the case may be. Please, if you're just tuning in, do well to start afresh to watch the video and give this live section a thumbs up. If you're not part of my family, please subscribe and join our family of metabolically health conscious individuals. All I share on this channel is how to reverse insulin resistance and diabetes naturally. That is all this channel is about. I'm a PCOS warrior myself, and I'm very metabolically health conscious, and all I bring to the table is how to reverse insulin resistance and diabetes naturally, okay, with food from our own African soil. One thing I tell people, I have seen a lot of videos black painting our African food, that our foods are mostly starchy and unhealthy. But that same food was what our ancestors consumed, and they lived so long. Check them out now. Our ancestors, it is then people don't import food from outside. This same food that people are condemning now was what our ancestors ate, and they lived African meals the healthy way. Please subscribe to my channel. All I share here is optimize your metabolic health with our own African foods. So and a metabolic health researcher, and my research focus is on metabolic health because, of course, I delved into metabolic health research with a little bit of bias. Yes, because I'm a woman living with PCOS and I wouldn't like to go down certain routes due to insulin resistance. So I try to educate myself and educate other people on how to optimize metabolic health and prevent certain conditions. So if that's of interest to you, consider subscribing to this channel and joining our family of metabolically health conscious individuals. See you. Bye bye. So where you watching me from, the person that just tuned in, I just need a comment or two in this video before I go. Share food sweeteners that you can use instead of Maggi, different natural food sweetener. You can start watching the video all over again to see all I mentioned, different food sweeteners you can use to sweeten your meals other than Maggi. So if you got value from this, please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Let me know where you're watching me from, and let me know where you're watching me from. All right, catch you. Bye bye. Bye bye. Thank you for stopping by. Bye bye.